Marvin Vettori versus Darren Till is off. News breaking today, according to Ariel Hawani, the fight scheduled for the main event of April 10th is no longer in place due to Darren Till having a collarbone injury, according to Nolan Kings over at MMA Junkie. They are looking for a replacement for Vettori. They have about 11 days or so to find someone to step in. Kevin Holland has offered to take the main event spot, according to his representation. So, Drake, this is a big one. Had huge ramifications in middleweight. The winner of this fight could have been looking at a title shot depending on their performance. What is your reaction to this, first and foremost?
The MMA gods are laughing. They are cackling, dude. This is all Izzy's fault. Israel Adesanya brought this on poor Darren Till, saying he's going to get a title shot. Nonsense, I tell you. The MMA gods agreed. No, on a serious note, though, this just cancellations don't surprise me anymore. Like, I saw this, I was like, that sucks. But that was about all. The only reaction it got out of me, because, like, well, we expect this kind of unfortunate news these days. So, yeah, it sucks. It's just how it goes. But, I mean, it wasn't COVID related in that case, but because of, everything that's going on, we have gotten used to cancellations now. Collarbone injury, I would imagine that's got to be a break, because, I mean, you never hear about people pulling out for anything that's not broken in terms of the collarbone. It's like about all it can do,
Don't hear about too many collarbone sprains. No,
yeah. Great
not a common thing.
It gives way or it doesn't. That's kind of how that guy works. So yeah, and then with Kevin Holland being a possible replacement, makes sense. That's not surprising at all that guy would be one to jump in at that opportunity. But as for that idea, man, the wind has been taken out of my interest sails regarding Kevin Holland after that last fight with Derek Brunson, because it's one of those things where we should have expected that outcome to be a lot more likely. I think you might have pointed out, but looking at Kevin Holland's losses in the past and what his UFC debut against Thiago Santos, yes, short notice, but Thiago Santos out-grappled him en route to a victory. That was primarily a win where Santos used his grappling, of all things, to beat Kevin Holland very convincingly, very easily. And we've seen that in all the time since then. He didn't really learn. And yes, Brunson is a better wrestler than a Thiago Santos or what have you, but he was taken out very easily in that fight. And it was just such a weird performance that, like, I don't feel confident in seeing him hang with the top guys after that. Like, he really needs to prove himself to me against somebody and show improvements, and maybe not be so much of a talkative guy, because that really kind of put a sour note on it for me. Like, after that kind of showing and how he was doing that throughout, it's like, man, you got to show some urgency that, you're losing. And he kind of did towards the end, but not nearly enough to what you want to see out of somebody. So until he can get, like, more serious about fighting, which is a funny thing to say, like, I don't know. I would be fine with that. Marvin Vettori deserves a replacement and somebody who will jump in like Kevin Holland. But in terms of me getting interested, I just think that he will probably lose very convincingly once again, if it happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is sad to see this fight drop out, obviously, between Vettori and Till. It was an intriguing matchup. Winner, again, as you mentioned, Israel Adesanya said if Till won, he had kind of called for Till to get the title shot. You would imagine Vettori wins in dominant fashion. He's got an argument there too. All of that going on. And now it's gone. And it's one of those situations where with Kevin Holland stepping in, that could work. But as you mentioned, it's not that intriguing a fight, in my opinion. I mean, if you look at Vittori's past performances, he's the one guy that at middleweight was able to get Adesanya down several times, right? I mean, he had a hard time keeping him there, but that goes to show you, his grappling. I can't imagine Kevin Holland doesn't just get taken down and submitted or TKO'd or another 5-round decision just over and over. It's, it doesn't make sense to me to have Holland step in there. Vettori does deserve a replacement opponent, but the other factor here is that if he takes a fight like Holland or someone down in the rankings, that doesn't necessarily give him a title shot, right? And so I feel like a good choice, if he is willing to do that quick a turnaround, I don't know that he is, would be Derek Brunson, who just knocked off Holland, has shown his, he's on a 4-fight win streak now, has looked invigorated. That's a good matchup to kind of see which one of these guys is going to be put into title contention, whether that's Brunson or Vettori. And they kind of complement each other. Brunson has good wrestling. So does Vettori. It would be a good stylistic fight, I feel like. So that's who I would like to see step in. I'm not sure Brunson's going to take it that short notice, though. It's weird to think about Vettori, having to turn around on 9 days notice or 10 days notice to fight a completely different style in order to get a crack at the belt, though.
That makes a lot of sense, though. Brunson makes obviously way more sense than fighting Kevin Holland, who just lost to Brunson. Both of these guys, 4-fight winning streaks. In terms of the next in line for the title shot, yes, we both agree Robert Whittaker should be that guy. Shouldn't have to fight Kelvin Gastelum to get his rematch with Adesanya. But then right behind him, it is both Brunson and Vettori. Have them fight each other, settle that to be who is next, and maybe arguably jump Whittaker. Who knows, politics, all that stuff. But you have these guys fight, then it's just it's cleared up all that much more. And this kind of situation with Vettori now is really reminding me of, you look at the flyweight division, Lauren Murphy. She is kind of a very similar situation where has been put in a spot where she's racked up all these wins, one that could maybe push her over to a title shot, as weird as it might have sounded, especially in hindsight. Cynthia Calvillo loses that one on very similar time frame of days notice. And then in comes Ilya Shakarova, who's a complete newcomer, which that's not Kevin Holland, but it's similar in that regard where, man, they gotta take on a replacement fighter in this position. Like, shitty for them,
Yeah, no, especially when you take into account the payday tied to it, right? Yeah. If you turn that down, which you're more than welcome to, especially in a top contender fight like that, well, you don't get your paycheck. That's not great either. So it becomes this, tough spot for any fighter in a position like Vettori or, as you mentioned, Murphy. So we'll see what happens here, but let us know in the comments who you would like to see Vettori take on as a late notice replacement, your reaction to Till and Vettori being canceled last minute here, and just your general thoughts on the middleweight division. Obviously me and Drake are in sync with Robert Whittaker, getting the next title shot, but let us know if you guys feel differently. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification, but either way, at least it wasn't COVID. That's something.